Welcome back in, guys, to the Advisor Odyssey podcast. Now, today we're coming at you with an episode about how to not waste your time, or in other words, how to best optimize your time. Now, as we get through this episode, we're going to touch on 7 different time wasters that you, if at all costs, should be avoiding entirely in your business. Now, spoiler alert though, the biggest distractions are going to actually be inside you, not outside you. So we got a good episode coming your way. Stay tuned.
This is the Advisor Odyssey audio experience, where financial advisors, planners, insurance agents, and brokers will find fresh new ideas and perspectives around what it takes to launch, succeed, scale, and bulletproof their business.
All right, guys, so jumping in here, as I said prior to the intro, the biggest distractions within not only just even your business, but also within your life in general, they tend to lie within you, not outside of you. We tend to blame our environments or some external factors, but the reality is if we have a good hold and grasp on what we are doing internally, we have a much, much greater likelihood of success when it comes to both just balancing our life, but also influencing others to live their best life. So here's going to be the 7, and this is my personal list, the 7 biggest time wasters that I see the advisors, insurance agents that I tend to work with, that I see them making. We work to overcome these all the time. Now, some only have 1 or 2 of these. Some might have, 5, 6, or maybe all 7 of them. But the point is there's probably at least one of these in your practice that you're dealing with. And if you can overcome this hurdle, just more success becomes unlocked. So the very first one, and this is actually, to me, the biggest one, is waiting for inspiration to strike before doing any sort of action, specifically around marketing. Now, the biggest hurdle with marketing that I see advisors, they don't call it a hurdle, but they talk about it all the time about why they don't do this, why they don't do that. And it ultimately boils down to they just don't believe that it's going to work, nor do they have the actual data on the back end to support it. And that comes in part due to a lack of tracking it well, and that's a whole other topic. But ultimately, do not wait for the inspiration to strike to take action. If you know, for example, that if you just had an email marketing campaign going out to your prospects in your database, you know that you would write more business. Yet you don't want to sit down and just figure out what to send. You don't want to sit down to review and dig into and research these other companies and vendors that can help you do that. You don't want to spend the time doing that. And I'm telling you, if you wait for the inspiration to strike, the truth is it's probably never going to strike. Because if you haven't done it yet, you probably don't want to do it at all. So that is the ultimate time waster that I see all the time, is waiting for inspiration to strike. Stop that. Now our second time waster is also in the realm of marketing, but it's the decision to push off and delay any paid marketing campaign because you're just not sure if the people you're trying to market to will resonate with your message. This can take the form of something along the lines of, yes, Daniel, I know I want to do and I need to do more workshops and seminars, but I like to do them around taxes, and it's not tax season yet. It's in the middle of July and August. It's just not the right time. I will go ahead and do that in, November, December, January, February time. And that is a problem. Don't have that mindset. Yes, you might push off your tax marketing workshops, but don't push off all your workshops just because you're afraid, or maybe I shouldn't say afraid, just because you're not confident in your ability to do another topic or to present on another topic. Now, some other items here could be your social media campaign. You might be looking at writing a $500 check to initiate a week-long social media campaign to all the prospects in your database, but you're concerned that, well, I don't know if this information is really as timely as it was 3 months ago or 3 weeks ago. Like when we look at, the pop culture lens, we might say, yeah, when the, Russia and Ukraine, when that war initially broke out, there's tons of marketing that could have been done to just put a message out there talking about inflation, interest rates, but it's been some time since then. So we might say it doesn't make sense to market to that. And that would make sense because that is a defined moment in time. However, when you look at, for example, Medicare is a great example of this. Even though Medicare, like it's not open enrollment time currently, even though it's not open enrollment and people aren't going to be able to truly take action on a lot of this, put the message out there. Like just put it out there. So again, that is the second time waster to avoid, is pushing off any paid marketing campaign because you're just not sure if your message will resonate with your target prospect or target client. The third time waster that I think that every advisor should be avoiding, and this is also a very popular one in conversations with advisors, is trying to please everyone in your office or on your team, but ultimately comes down to you as the advisor, and many of you listening, most of you listening, are probably the owners of the business, or at least one of the decision makers. When you make a decision for the better of your business and your perspective, you got to stick with it. It's not your job to make everyone happy. It's your job to lead your organization, to lead your people to success, towards happiness. But if on the pursuit of that happiness, if that sacrifices anything within your business or other people's success, that's where it's too much. So again, the third time waster to avoid is trying to please everyone. Don't mess with it. Don't spend your time problem solving. Do what's best for the business. The fourth time waster to avoid in your practice is comparing yourself to the advisor next door. This is a very, very popular one, and it's a conversation that I tend to have quite a bit in a general sense. But when the advisors that I interact with, when they compare themselves to, the other, whether it's an independent agent or if it's a wirehouse or a captive or brokerage firm based agent, when they compare what they do to what that person does, you just get caught up in all these, well, they do this, so I should do this. And ultimately you end up exploring, if not actually acting upon, but you end up exploring the prospect of, what if I change my business to best suit against the competition? And that's a toxic mindset, first and foremost. You don't want to mess with that. But it also, when you do that, you're spending more time thinking about the negative. And that has a lasting impact. If you spent half of your day thinking about what other people are doing better than you, if you spent half of your day thinking about all the clients and prospects that you missed on, you are naturally not going to go into that next appointment, into that next client meeting, into that next team meeting with a positive mindset. You're not going to be in a good mental state. Now, the positive is what should affect you. So when you compare yourself to the advisor next door, instead of thinking about what they might do differently, what they might do better, the fees that they may charge, they might charge less than you, they might have a better value prop, whatever it is, think about the things that you do well. Because at the end of the day, your clients, and this is a message that I hope resonates clearly, your clients will more than likely leave you. And there's data that backs this. Clients will leave you due to a lack of communication. It's not ultimately going to come down to the value prop. That's not why they're going to leave you. They're not going to leave you because of poor investment performance typically. It's really going to come down to communication. And spoiler alert, an upset mind makes poor communication decisions. What's up, guys? If you're enjoying all this great content, be sure to check out our other content platforms for more and different types of content all around ways that you can become a better advisor. Things like marketing, sales process development, client experience. Maybe it's managing your team and your advisors better. Whatever it is, be sure to check out our social media profiles. You can find us at Advisor Odyssey across most every single platform that you're likely using. If you're looking for some more in-depth written out articles and blog posts, you can find that both on Medium by searching again at Advisor Odyssey, and then also on LinkedIn on my personal page, Daniel Hodajak. It's on these social media platforms where you can send in your questions, your feedback, your thoughts, and then I will then take that, formulate it, and I will try to create, maybe it's an entire podcast episode, another post that's specifically designed to help you answer the question that you are sending in. Again, that can be a direct message, it can be an email. Whatever it is, feel free, ask the question. I'll give you my best insight, and then hopefully it can make a huge difference in your business. Anyways, guys, let's get back to the episode. All right, the fifth time waster that I see advisors all the time making, and they need to avoid it, is they seek perfection simply over just getting the job done. Now, this is very common. I'm sure a lot of you listening, if not all of you, have heard that before. Done is better than perfect. But again, like I want to echo that. A perfectionist will never finish, but a doer always does. Here, remember that. The perfectionist never finds the finish line, but the one who just does it, who just does the work, who starts it, who continues it, and they decide to put a cap on it and finish it, they're the ones who can move on to the next thing. Their plate's less full. Their time is typically better spent. They tend to grow a lot more. They don't reflect negatively on themselves. They just tend to be overall better business owners, quite frankly. So again, the time waster to avoid is seeking perfection over just getting the job done. The sixth most common time waster that I see advisors make all the time is actually making the same mistakes over and over again. You know, Einstein said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting a different result. As a financial advisor, we talk about tracking your data, why that's so important. Not just marketing, but it's anything related to your sales process, your team, your workflows. Like, these are standard business practices that large companies have to follow. They have to pay attention to it. They have to, ultimately, they want to optimize wherever they can. But if you know that you're making mistakes and you choose willingly to just let them be, say things like, well, I'll worry about that the next time I run this marketing campaign. Or, yeah, that's a hole in the process. I'll just try to not make sure that happens again next time I meet with that prospect. When you make those same mistakes over and over again, you put yourself in a position where you don't understand and you don't know future-wise how to handle the chaos that follows it. Because even though you've done it time and time again, you think you understand what to do, like how to get up when you fall, but just don't fall. Like, learn why you're falling. It is so much better time to spend figuring out why you're failing at a certain thing and then aggressively working to not make those same mistakes. When you decide to change something, and this goes back to one of the previous ones that I said, when you decide to focus on the negative in the short term, you can then explore better avenues to follow and better paths to take, changes to make for the better of the organization, for the better of your results. But ultimately, when you fix a common mistake, over the long term, you will multiply your time. And that's what we also want to do. We want to multiply our time. So to wrap that up, that's the sixth most common time waster, is making the same mistakes over and over again because you simply feel like you know how to handle the chaos that happens afterwards. And to you, that's more important than just fixing it in the front end. Make sure you guys, if you haven't yet, please take a minute and check out the link in the description here to subscribe to my weekly newsletter called The Weekly Voyage, where we are featuring, we're highlighting an article that just came out the week prior. We're featuring the podcast episode if you haven't seen it yet. Plus, we're sharing a multiple of 2, 3, sometimes 4 brand new ideas that have not yet been shared that can only help you grow your business and build the practice of your dreams. Now, again, the link is in the description. It is called the Weekly Voyage Newsletter, and it is on LinkedIn and through LinkedIn's newsletter platform. And we're on to our seventh and final time waster for all advisors to avoid. And this is universal. This is very simple. It's very common, but it's very difficult to avoid. And that time waster is simply being afraid of failure. Do not be afraid to fail. You will not be successful every time. You will not be successful potentially even half the time. Never be afraid of failure. And the previous 6 time wasters that I discussed, that I shared with you guys, when it comes down to really like the mindset decision, the ultimate mindset decision for all of them is simply just not being afraid to fail. Now, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. This was, again, 7 time wasters to avoid as a business owner, as an advisor, just as a person in general. Hope you found it valuable.
We hope you enjoyed the Advisor Odyssey audio experience. Connect with us on your favorite social media platforms at Advisor Odyssey. You can find our full-length educational videos to watch on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Check out all our articles and publications on medium.com/Advisor Odyssey. The Advisor Odyssey podcast is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. The contents and opinions shared, expressed, or otherwise alluded to on the Advisor Odyssey podcast and audio experience are solely ideas and not to be depicted as tax, legal, or investment advice. Results from the use of these concepts may not be representative of the experience of all financial professionals and are no guarantee of future success. Your results may vary. The Advisor Odyssey and its affiliated members are not to be held liable or responsible for any lawful recourse or punishment invoked upon the individual or accompanying business partners or team members. Federal law, state law, and/or insurance carrier requirements may prohibit or place limitations on any of the ideas and activities expressed. All advisors, planners, wholesalers, affiliated reps, and investment advisors should be aware of any limitations imposed by federal regulation, state regulation, insurance carriers, broker-dealers, and registered investment advisors as applicable. Investment advisors are strongly encouraged to obtain pre-approval from the broker-dealer, registered investment advisor, insurance company, or similar institution with which they may be affiliated.